All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a hot minute since we've been on, about 2 weeks, but we are back on a Sunday afternoon. If the stream's not coming through quite as good, I apologize for that. I'm not really sure what's causing it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about CERN. And but before I get too much into that, I am PhantomGB. I'm a VTuber. I'm into gaming mostly, but I do have a fascination with the paranormal, and I'm going to pass it on to the other two to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I have been into the paranormal ever since I can remember, to be honest. But officially, I've been a paranormal investigator for over 20 years, and I have seen some really wild stuff out there. So, I also have had in the past several different paranormal podcasts and radio shows and whatnot. So, I've explored a lot about the paranormal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm Chris, and I do sessions, read, trench work, and help people out with overall energetic issues, usually through my week. So let's go.
All right. So, as I said, we are talking about CERN. Now, for those who don't know what that is, it stands for European Organization for Nuclear Research. The original acronym's in French. I'm not going to go into that. As far as where it's located, you know what? It's located in France, on the France and Switzerland border. Some people say it's underwater. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if you guys.
I know it's several kilometers below in the ground. So I mean, depending on how high the water table is there for the ground, it might be. I just don't know much about that part.
Mm-hmm. I think it is. I've heard stories of it being underwater as well. Like you said, if it's below the water table, but most of the stories I've heard is it's just an underground base, essentially
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But we're not really here to talk about that necessarily. More of the theories, surrounding, like, is it disrupting our reality? Because there's a lot of theories saying that it is. And I know that I've heard a lot of people saying that that's where a lot of our Mandela effects are coming from, where every time they run this thing, something disrupts, and then now our memories are lying to us.
Yeah. And it seems like every year more and more of that kind of stuff comes out. And actually, I'm really curious after this week what the energy of everything is going to be like, because I don't know if you want to get into it yet or not, Phantom, but um the CERN scientists, or whatever you'd like to call them, they actually have figured out a way to transport antimatter, and they really don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, in fact, I think one of the TikToks that I sent you, Laura, kind of talks about, because I guess they're going to transport it, I guess,
Yeah.
like to another country or somewhere. We'll have to watch that. But yeah, they
Just across the border and back again. It's going to be basically it sounds like in the CERN parking lot, pretty much.
Okay, but yeah, so they're basically going to transport antimatter, and I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but guess we'll see what happens.
That's a real good idea, transporting antimatter in a matter environment. No, there's no disaster waiting to happen there.
Yeah, because I saw in the TikTok they said something like, usually when antimatter comes in contact with matter, it can cause an explosion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the Star Trek physics behind that are accurate, where they have their engines that are powered by that, but they keep them in the lore, they keep them separate in their own compartments. And when they say containment breach, then you see ships explode in that. And also with people within the disclosure community, they talk about the secret space program, where they had, in the secret space program, they had antimatter grenades and bombs, where they would just make it contact with matter, and all of a sudden a small moon disappears. So, or if it's a grenade, a small town disappears, kind of story. So yeah, with things such as that, yeah, not a bright idea on their part.
Definitely not.
So we can go ahead if you want. I can share that TikTok here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let me figure out. Yeah, it's this one. Alrighty.
about to cause a bunch of news, but scientists at CERN are about to load antimatter into a truck and drive it across the border. And this has never been done before ever in human history. So antimatter is actually one of the most sensitive materials on Earth because the second that it touches normal matter, any matter at all, it gets destroyed and it explodes. It gets destroyed in a burst of energy and it has never been transported, ever, until now. Scientists at CERN have now officially built a 1-ton containment device that traps antimatter. The entire thing literally needs 2 cranes just to be able to lift it onto the truck, and later this month they are going to be loading it up and driving it around the CERN campus. This is going to be from France to Switzerland and then back. They're saying that the device is carrying about 1,000 antiprotons and they weigh about 1/1000th of a trillionth of a gram. They're saying that if this containment fails, the energy released by it would be so small that we wouldn't be able to feel it. But they're also saying that the point isn't the amount, it's actually the fact that nobody has ever moved antimatter outside of a lab before. And they're saying that the reason why they're doing all of this is to answer one question, and that one question is, why is the universe made of matter instead of antimatter? But do we really want to know? I know that this is...
Yeah, so that pretty much falls right along the lines with what we were just talking about.
There's also, later this in April here, we're going to be having an episode on Bashar, who is the extraterrestrial that Daryl Anka speaks with, or lets him speak through him. But he has said that CERN will be the one to come up with a way for us to time travel. I believe it was him that said that.
Yeah, I agree
There's a
with
couple different ones that I spoke with, but or heard.
Yeah, I agree with his assessment on that because what I've always known about CERN is that it was a portal that was opened up to other dimensions and realities and time frames. It was integrated into some of the time travel projects to begin with, and they're using it to basically essentially cause some of the Mandela effect that you're seeing, even though the Mandela effect is much larger, which is the set of parallel universes and timelines and branch timelines. CERN being an epicenter for that would start to warp and change things. They even disclosed that on Star Trek Next Generation many years ago, back in the 80s. They called it they even called it something close to the Mandela effect. They called it the Mannheim effect. They based it on a fictional character, but they were trying to show that time effects and things and repeats and jumps and deja vu was caused by some piece of equipment. They were trying to disclose that. And the piece of equipment you see in the end looks very much like CERN, just a small version of it, like just a portable version of it. But it looks like the Hadron Collider when you see it at the very end of the episode. So I always see that as seeing a timeline of certain things that were either predicted or in the time travel projects where they put them through disclosure in the media. And it turns out that that's actually correct. Would Daryl Anka be willing to come on the show and talk about it himself? Do you think? I think that'd be actually kind of cool. Oh,
I wonder if we just lost Laura, maybe?
I think Laura, did we lose you?
I think she froze
she's
up.
frozen.
But yeah, I don't know if, I don't think the show's quite big enough yet for someone like that to come on and talk. Maybe someday down the road. Oh, there we go. She's back.
I don't know what's going on. It's weird. It makes it seem like you guys are the ones that are losing power.
Yeah, it's like,
did I do something maybe I shouldn't have? Is our government agent out there
Right.
listening?
I've seen them do this before too, but yeah.
I know. I'm just messing.
By the way, what's up? What's up, nobody? He says hi, guys, in the chat.
Hi. Also, just for poops and giggles, I decided to look up to see when officially CERN turned on the Large Hadron Collider, and they turned it on September 10th in 2008, and apparently it broke 9 days later, and so they had to shut it down for repairs. And then they officially got it back up and running by November of 2009. Now, I believe I had heard something about them officially turning it back on, though, in 2020. But I could just be remembering something wrong.
Let me look that up real quick. Let me see. You said that
Yeah,
they
I've heard similar stories too, or also some of the basis for some of the Stargate episodes and things of that nature are also based on some of the organization that runs CERN as well, where they were using it as a gateway to other planets and whatnot.
Mhm.
So when they made it a ring like that, that's the same as the statue that's out front in their parking lot of Shiva with the big ring, or the Stargate. So some people have been speculating that that is the reasoning behind the show. That's why there's some of the disclosure in that, or loosely, where it's still an underground base where they were using a portal. They made it in Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, but there's also, from what I understand, there's multiple CERNs as well. Smaller units. There's the bigger one, and then there's smaller units
I can see
around the
that.
planet. Yeah.
um,
I also had heard a theory that basically, I mean, Phantom, you and we talked earlier today, and you had made the comment that you love the fact that humans like to mess with stuff when we don't know what the outcome is. And that is one of the other theories, is what I heard, was that we didn't know, we knew a way to open up a portal, but we didn't know how to close it. We didn't know what was going to be on the other side. In the process of doing that, we unintentionally ended up ripping.
oh, she glitched again. What is it with the internet today? Because even I had to drop the bit rate for the stream to even go correctly.
Dang. Yeah, I know. Ours seems fine on this end. I think it's mostly on your end.
Yeah, we'll give her a minute to catch
So
back up.
sorry.
Oh, you're good. There
No.
she goes.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Not like this happens all the time. It's like all of a sudden this is what we're talking about, and you keep glitching out.
I'm telling you, somebody out there doesn't want me to say what I'm saying.
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, that's happens in my sessions sometimes as well.
Nobody in chat said he heard that there's about like 13 CERNs.
That sounds about
I
right.
believe it.
you
So
know
I
what?
don't know.
I'm gonna look it
Oh, I'm
up.
sorry. What was that?
Oh, I'm just gonna
Oh.
look it up real quick.
I don't know how much you guys had heard before I got disconnected from you, but basically I had heard another theory that CERN had been able to get in. They knew how to open up a portal, but they didn't know how to close it. They didn't know what was on the other side or anything. And in the process of opening up the portal, they unintentionally ended up ripping a hole into it, and that caused a cause and effect of continuing a rip that they don't know how to fix or to close, and it's making these other dimensions smash into us, which is what is causing our Mandela effects.
And all these other timelines and such, and people theorize, like why civilizations have come and gone, and CERN doesn't account for all the stuff before it unless it reaches into the past too. What accounts for that, or what happened in extreme galactic history, which people call the Orion Wars, and then you have Atlantis, Lemuria ripping holes in space-time and their conflict, things of this nature. So colliding with this time, it's created basically an anchor by which then you have all these effects stemming out from a central point. And having multiple units like that, of course, it mirror and bounce between them. And voila, you have timelines causing deja vu moments, time skips, jumps, and slips, and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to Google, mind you, Google says there's only one CERN. Now, we could take that with a grain of salt because
Well, CERN as a whole is an organization. However, I think there's other hydron
other particle like basically particle accelerators.
Yes, for other companies or groups that are in connection with CERN.
True.
So it might not be called CERN.
Yeah. Now, nobody pointed out in chat, he's like, that there's 13 CERNs. He says they like to use the number 13 because of its spiritual number, which I've heard of 13 being a spiritual number. So that makes sense.
That's because the Knights Templar. That's it was the unlucky 13. That's where you get that from, is the Knights Templar, the day they were all murdered or executed. So Friday the 13th.
Pretty lucky day for me.
Yeah, that's where it comes from, is medieval times. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting. I've seen so many time jumps and time skips and Mandela effects. The new age and disclosure communities are talking about it constantly. They call it basically energy reports. Instances of deja vu. It's constant across the board. This is one of the things I see constantly, and also reports that CERN opened up a portal to where demons are coming out. And I've heard all sorts of stories.
Okay, see, that just sounds like the premise for Doom.
Yeah, it does. That's basically what I'm thinking, where they got some of the ideas for Dune from. Essentially, there's some disclosure in there where they did a whole portal to hell thing with Doom, and it was on Mars. But with this, I'm thinking it's something similar. You merge Doom with Stargate, you pretty much got it.
So, Laura, me and you were talking before the show, and you said you had a friend or someone that did work there?
Yeah, so I didn't have a friend that worked there. I was friends with someone who either said that they were good friends with a physicist that worked at CERN, or it was like a family member or something along those lines. Because we got on the subject of CERN and the paranormal and all of that, and she kind of began laughing at me and said, "Oh, my so and so works there." And they always make fun of all the Americans for believing that we're the cause of Mandela effects and that we opened up all these portals and everything when we didn't. That's not what we do. We're doing, it's all physicist stuff. It's all, scientific stuff. It has nothing to do with anything that's going to affect anyone, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of was like, yeah, but you do know what like the paranormal is, right? Because that to me is very not philosophical. It's very physicist based,
You know,
Yeah.
I have a saying I go by, like you only know what you only know what you don't know. And like they can say up and down all the stuff they do know and what they're messing with, but there's always an element to things that even as humans we're never always going to fully understand.
Yeah.
And so, so they're just going based off of what they know, but there's a lot of elements that they don't know.
And my other thought on that is, I don't know how high up or how far or how deep this person works in CERN. It's possible that they feed the people that aren't working directly with the hydrogen I keep calling it hydrogen, that's not what it is, but the collider. Like they're maybe they don't work directly with that, and maybe they are being told, oh yeah, we're just doing this scientific experiment, like it's not going to affect anything or anyone. Just like in that video, they said, like, we know antimatter, when it touches real matter, it explodes. And so they're like, oh, we're only transporting enough that, if it does explode, nobody's even gonna know. Yeah, that might be what they're telling everybody until it actually happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Until there's a crater there and nobody. So, but yeah, that person's more than likely a lower level person. I hear this from like NASA people too. I even heard this from an actual NASA person. It's like, I don't know what people are talking about. We're at the top of the food chain. It's like, no, you're not tip of the spear, man. You're like way down here. No, we would know all this. Like, no, you're not part of the inner circle. Essentially, you're not going to know this stuff. And they just roll their eyes at you like you don't know anything. It's like, no, we're pretty knowledgeable on this. So, and I've even known people to be in the projects where they could literally have somebody in the next room be a part of the secret part, and this part be the public face over here. And they could literally have a wall, so just one wall separating them. So that's how compartmentalized they are. So anybody that says, oh yeah, they don't do that is being naive, because yes, they are doing that.
So something nobody mentioned in chat just now, he said, I heard that if they manage to use Alt 13, they can open portals to lower astral dimensions and let other beings in. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but then there's also the thought process of, by doing that, are we also maybe allowed to be able to have beings that are higher energy level come through as well.
Right. Like you're opening, in a lot of ways, we're opening Pandora's box if we continue down this road because you don't know, we
And
don't know
it's gonna
what's going to
happen
happen.
one way or another. Like we just know this. I mean, our society's already we're still at the very bottom of the totem pole as far as like advanced civilizations when you really think about things. However, I mean, we've also just in my own lifetime, which I feel like I haven't even been alive that long in this lifetime, like things have progressed so rapidly.
Right. If you think about
what I'm saying?
think about our generation, most of us are now in our 40s, all of us here in this room right now, we were all born in the 80s. And just think about how far our technology has come just in that time frame compared to years prior to that. Like think about how long were we in the medieval times? How long did that go before we finally got to a point where we're just now starting to get this technology? And so like so you're right. The technology in just the small amount of time compared to all human existence has just ramped up considerably. Now this could be, I mean, this is probably a question for another stream, but like, where did we suddenly get all that knowledge and technology?
That's more alien territory.
I think we're gonna find. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we'll find out by the end of this year, beginning of next.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of TikToks and other people talk about how supposedly they're finally going to say officially we're not alone in the universe and that aliens are eventually going to come here very soon. Well, I guess we'll see what happens there, but
yeah, it's just like I'm thinking also some of these time experiments and things of this nature. There's also the video I show, but I'll add to this where there's things like oops objects, things of this nature, where like tools have fallen through time, like the London hammer, for instance. That I think fell through a crack into another time frame and just aged out, meaning then it aged back into this one, and you have a hammer that's encased in stone that's millions of years old, but it was invented in the 1840s, 1850s. So or was forged in that time frame. So yeah, I've heard of things like that, or there's remnants from other times, or like how Doctor Who would say, it never were. Like you have like a remnant from another timeline where you have a fragment or piece that dimensionally stayed here, and you have something that just doesn't match. Not necessarily doesn't match our own history, because a lot of history has been wrong or covered up. If it had included aliens or Atlantis or Lemuria or any of those types of things, or aliens. So this is where people think, oh, well, since it doesn't match this history, well, you can't always go by what the history books say. You have to go by where the evidence is taking you, and you can't go by carbon dating either, because the time travel projects have the ability to send stuff back through time, so they can go, see, that's the history. Well, you just screwed with it. That's why it's back there. So you can't really trust anything like that. They generally went back to specific time frames, and in some cases, CERN and other portals like it were involved in those projects. Pegasus and Montauk being the two biggest.
Oh yeah, Pegasus. I've heard of that too. So maybe that wanted to be something we discuss. Now I think there was another video. I think I sent you, Laura. We can take a quick look.
There was. I had to let me get it pulled back up here. I do apologize, but yeah, let me share that one, and then I thought I should share the one that Chris had found for us as well, because it kind of ties into timeline shifts and all of that. All right.
Glitch story. These blue plates. Could it be caused by CERN?
Okay guys, I am freaking out. About 10 years ago at my old house, I redecorated my room and I bought this plate at Goodwill. And I recently moved, and as I was unpacking, I found another one, and I only bought one. It had no match. I used it as a key catcher on my dresser, and unpacking at my new house, this was in the box, 2 of them. I don't know how to explain how I ended up with 2 when I only bought 1. I am shaking, and I can't explain it.
With CERN running its strongest test in years, could that be the reason so many people are experiencing shifting or merging timelines? Is it possible these...
But the reason I really liked that video when I watched it was because that's happened to me.
Me too.
Because, okay, so everyone here knows I have an addiction to electronics. And so I like to play.
Nope.
And so a couple years ago, and like I said, this was just a couple years ago, I remember I needed a new mouse because the one that I had, like, my fancy gaming mouse, I got a new one, and it was like a $200 mouse. Of course, I'm only going to get one. Well, so I've had this mouse now for about, I want to say 2 years, right? Well, interestingly enough, I always like to pass down my old stuff to my boys. And I was like, oh, you know what? I don't want to give this one up. I'll go ahead and get you one just like it. And then he came to me and said, hey, I actually found you. Did you know you have another one? I'm like, no, I don't. He found another one just like it in the garage. And I'm like, look, I know that I used to accumulate a lot of electronic junk, I'm a collector, but I'm like, where did that come from? And then so that's why I want to, so that thing with the plate and then this, and I've heard other people talking stories about how they found duplicate items that they don't remember ever getting. Or even like one of a kind type items at that.
Oh yeah, like something that is one of a kind. I had the exact same thing happen. I bought a small Knight's helmet about this big. And I no longer have this. We bought it when we went to Washington State. I had completely unwrapped it, washed it, got all the packing grease off it, and everything, and just set it on its stand. And it was just a medieval knight's helmet that was a little desk one. And we had to leave there, so I brought it back. I didn't have the box for it anymore. I just kind of put the bubble wrap up in it and just put it in our boxes and left. Well, for quite a while, I didn't see it. And then I put it on our shelf when we were in Arizona. I put it up on the shelf. And it was there for the longest time. Then I went through, while it's still on the shelf, I went through our stuff from Washington. Here's the box with it sitting again with a roll of bubble wrap still in it and the stand in it, and it's wrapped up. The same way that I had just unpacked it, but it was on my shelf. So I had effectively two of the same object within the same space-time. I'm thinking because the timeline was intersected, like on your end, Phantom, with your mouse, where it was in a reality where you hadn't unpacked it yet, and those two timelines were they got set in the same.
No, it was in my junk box. Apparently, that's where it was found. I have a junk box out in the garage with all these other random miscellaneous things they keep in there, and that's where he supposedly found it.
Yeah, and it was a timeline where that you would put it there instead of where you had it. And the same thing with the Knight's helmet, and that's what I was able to kind of loosely figure out what had taken place. And yeah, I got rid of both of them after a while. They got bad energy on them, so both of them went separate places. They ended up somewhere. But yeah, I thought that was real interesting. The same object, you could obviously tell I had wrapped it up, but yet it was unwrapped, sitting on my shelf. So
interesting. Have you ever run across anything like that, Laura? Has anything like that happened to you?
No, I mean, occasionally, I guess I'll order something from somewhere, and I know for a fact I only paid for one or only purchased one. And there'll be, in fact, actually, this just happened. I am planning a trip to the Black Hills sometime this summer, and inevitably it always ends up raining. And long story short, someone is always without some kind of cover. So I purchased, it looks like a little gotcha container, like a gotcha ball. And it just has a plastic, poncho in it, I guess is what it is. Kind of a one-time shot sort of thing. And the one that I ordered, it did say it came with 3, and I was like, oh, that's perfect, because that's approximately how many people are coming. There's actually 4 of us, but I was like, if I just dangle these off of my backpack, then I can be, that person that's like, hey, you forgot to bring a coat, and it's raining all of a sudden. Here, have one of these. Because I think it was 50 cents for all of them or something, because they were really cheap. And when I opened up the box, there were 6 of them in there.
Weird. Maybe it was just...
Well, and my cousin actually, she just got something from Amazon. And I mean, at first, this kind of was like a one-off sort of. I understand that sometimes places like Amazon and that can make a glitch where they accidentally throw 2 in and they should have thrown 1 in or whatever. However, this has been going on now this whole year, where I've ordered one of some things. I order my cat's supplies a lot of the time on there. And when I open up the box, there's more than one. And she had just opened up a package of hers, and I don't remember now what it was, but she goes, "Oh, weird. Wonder why there's two." She goes, "I know I only purchased one." I said, "Oh, consider a freebie." I said, "I don't know. I've been getting a lot of freebies lately, so."
Now that I think about it, I think that's happened here in the last month too. I remember I ordered some like lounge pants that there I had custom print for them for some anime characters, and I know and I only ordered one. Now keep in mind this was being custom printed, and I ended up with two of them, but I only ordered one, so I gave the other one to Hayden. And it was like, so yeah, that's been happening to me too. It's like I order one of something and I'm getting like double.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a nice surprise when it happens. It's just, I mean, is it paranormal? Is it something to do with CERN? I guess it could be, but I don't.
Yeah,
think
there's
it's
not
more of
enough.
just
There's
the computer.
not enough evidence to support that. But like in the case of this video, the lady talking, and we'll have to take what the lady said at face value. But only buying one and then years later discovering a separate one, that is a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember hearing a video on TikTok about this lady who she had purchased. Oh, I take that back. Sorry. She used to go to her grandmother's all the time. And her grandmother collected very antique old teacups with the saucer and everything. And she said that when her grandmother passed, she had asked her mom, "Hey, can I have one of those teacups?" And she had picked this one that she remembered having a tea party with her grandmother pretty frequently with. And her mom was actually going to just give the teacup away because there was a small chip out of it. And the daughter was like, "No, don't give that away. Like, I want that as sentimental, whatever." So she's really gotten into hot tea lately, apparently. And she also had moved. And she went into her kitchen and she realized she hadn't taken out her teacups because she started collecting teacups. But this is the only pattern that she's ever found on this one. Okay. All the other teacups she has are other ones. Anyway, and she always gets them as a set. That's key. So she went and she was unwrapping some of her teacups, and she was like, "Oh, I really want to use the one that came from my grandmother's." So she was looking for that and she found it, and she realized, "Oh, there's another teacup in the bottom of my thing, but I don't have the saucer. What the heck is going on?" She unwraps it, and it is the exact same teacup as the one in her hand that she had gotten from her grandmother's. However, where the chip is at is in a different spot. But it's the same pattern, and there's no saucer for it. She only has the one saucer.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been hearing from clients across the board where things like that have happened. Somebody even found a duplicate set of car keys that had the exact same keychain on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were able to show me side by side. They held them up. They said, "I only own one of these. I didn't make a second one. I didn't have a second keychain here. None of that." And the fact that the keychain itself was also a flash drive, they're like, "I didn't buy two of these. They were too expensive." But yet it has the same set of data on it, same files, same all of it, because they wanted something that had their will or something like if they were found in an accident. They had all the stuff on them and stuff like that. But they only bought one. And here comes the duplicate set of car keys that has the same flash drive, same data, same files, same everything. It was copied. Timeline-wise, it was copied. And yeah, they were dumbfounded as to how it happened. And we found out that it was a timeline glitch or a Mandela effect that gave her two of them in the same time continuum. And she still has both of them with her. And couldn't explain it. She's like, "Well, at least I have a second one I can use for something else if I needed to." But I was like, "I wouldn't get rid of it. I would keep those exactly as they are forever. Do not repurpose the second one. Just it may change the other one. We don't know if they're quantumly entangled or something. So just leave them as they are." And yeah, that person just kept them as they were, just put it in a drawer somewhere and left it and just carried one of them with. Because they're identical. They're identical down to the marks on like the little accordion neck lanyard that she had on it and everything. You can see even little chip marks and like the some of the keys and the paint removed and everything in the same identical spots. So yeah, keeps the other in a drawer and keeps the other with her to use. So I said, yeah, don't alter the other one, because you don't know if it would. You don't know if there are like basically two particles linked through a quantum like cord or something. So just leave one alone and just keep it safe in a drawer or a lockbox or something. And still has it.
Interesting.
Interesting. If you want, we can watch that other video that Chris posted.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's watch the other video.
Yeah, it's roughly 9 minutes, so sorry for the length.
Oh, that's all right.
No, that's totally fine.
Yep.
Not seeing anything yet.
It's not playing on my end here either.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, weird. Of course, we're having technical glitches.
Yeah, I know the stream's kind of going in and out on signal, so I apologize if there's any buffering.
Let me try again here.
Maybe it's just the internet here in Nebraska. I don't know.
Here we are. Now it is.
We can see now.
Yep,
Okay.
I can see it.
Many witnesses who are very reliable who told me that under the lake there is one of the main CIA bases. There is a city
Well, this isn't
under the lake
it.
that is more than.
Oh, I think that's
300,000
mine
people.
actually.
How can you tell me about those 17 dimensions? How
Yeah, this is the professor that worked for CERN.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to share the other one.
Oh, if you want to play this one, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can save that.
Let me. I wanted to do the one that you did. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try this again. All right, can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right.
Deep beneath the French-Swiss border, a scientific marvel hums with unparalleled power. The Large Hadron Collider at CERN smashes subatomic particles together at incredible speeds, unlocking the secrets of the universe. But what if this probing of the cosmos has consequences we are only beginning to understand? What if, in our quest to unravel the mysteries of the universe, we have inadvertently torn the fabric of time itself? The concept of shifting timelines is not new to science fiction, but could it be closer to reality than we think? Some theorists suggest that CERN's experiments, particularly those involving the creation of microscopic black holes, could be creating ripples in the very fabric of space-time. These ripples, they argue, could be causing us to shift between parallel timelines, each with its own unique history and trajectory. While this notion may seem like the stuff of fantasy, it is a tantalizing possibility that has captured the imaginations of scientists and laypeople alike. Could our pursuit of knowledge be leading us down a path we never intended, a path that could forever alter the course of human history? The idea of timelines colliding and merging is a complex one, fraught with unknowns and potential paradoxes. Yet as we delve deeper into the mysteries of the universe, we must remain open to the possibility that our actions have consequences that extend far beyond our current understanding.
Hey, what's up, Revere Wolf? We're doing pretty good.
Emerging from the mists of time, the whispers of a lost civilization beckon us to reconsider our understanding of the past. Tartaria, a sprawling empire said to have spanned the globe, is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Proponents of this theory point to architectural marvels scattered across continents, structures that seem to defy the technological capabilities of their supposed eras. These buildings, often characterized by intricate designs and advanced construction techniques, hint at a civilization far more advanced than history books acknowledge. Grand structures like the cathedrals of Europe, the onion domes of Russia, and the towering pyramids of the Americas are all said to be remnants of this lost civilization. But Tartaria was more than just impressive architecture. It is believed to have possessed advanced technologies, including free energy systems and healing modalities far surpassing our own. This advanced civilization, some believe, was wiped from our collective memory, its history rewritten and its remnants repurposed. Could it
Go
be
ahead and
that
pause
the
it real
stories
quick.
of a golden age, a time of peace and
That kind of brings up a question. Oh, by the way, we've had a good day, Reverend Wolf. He mentions the fact that, we've had a history where we had advanced technology in the past before. How true do you think that actually could be?
Oh yeah, I think that's pretty true. Even if Atlantis, say, wasn't related to aliens or not, I believe Atlantis and Lemuria were at least a previous civilization that were more advanced. Things of that nature. And some of the evidence seems to kind of be pointing that direction. It's just academia won't really acknowledge it. Is really all it is.
Yeah. I personally think, I'm not against the idea that there is a possibility that maybe somehow we've gone in a loop in some way where we got to a pinnacle peak in technology and then something happened and then we forgot it. There is always that possibility. I know there's a lot of stories that have explored that idea. And you would think though that we would find remnants of such a past though, wouldn't you think?
I think that we have actually, they've found things that they're just scientists or archaeologists, I should say, which they are scientists technically, but they've been this should be impossible to do if they lived in the Neanderthal period or whatever the case may be. And yet there it is.
True. I remember remember good old Ancient Aliens, Chris?
It's still on. It's in the last couple seasons.
Yeah,
though,
I remember watching one a long time ago, and they were talking about how in some of a lot of the ancient Mayan periods, for example, that they found some evidence to suggest they had planes at one point.
Honestly, why do you think that we haven't been able to completely locate all these huge lost civilizations?
That's true.
I do get that the Earth has probably taken over some of them, and so they maybe appear as a mountain, or maybe they've crumbled into dust or whatever the case may be. However, we have the technology to be able to decipher whether or not it's an actual mountain or a structure that just has growth over it too.
True. And I guess the other question that comes into play with that is, how much do they want us to know about what our past really is? You know what I mean? We only know what we're told for the most part. So, and it kind of goes along with that, the ocean, for example, is a great place to hide everything because we've only explored, what do they say, 20% of the ocean?
That's very small.
And so what's to say that there isn't tons and tons of ancient civilizations down there that, like you said, the Earth took over at one point?
Well, I'm just curious as to why NASA decided out of nowhere, after just only exploring for 20% of the, oceans, they were like, oh, yeah, this is boring. We should go to the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because the military took over it because they noticed the potential for basically acquiring information and technologies, and they found far more down there. 20% is what they give the public. The rest of it is on them, pretty much. Right. So it's more in the cover-up territory, or ET cover-up territory.
That's why I tried to say, oh yeah, the ocean's boring. That's sarcastic.
Yeah,
it's not. We all know that it's not. Even if it was just fish and creatures like that living down there, and that's all that we kept finding, some of those are so amazing and have even advanced our own technology because of the way that they live, or how they hunt, or I guess that's part of the way that they live. But yeah, I don't know.
Right. Before we continue on, let me just go through chat here real quick because there's actually quite a bit to catch up on chat.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's 1,000% true. Every culture, and this is from Reverend Wolf VIP. Thank you. By the way, those who are in the chat, thank you for coming to the stream. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
He said it's 1,000% true. Every culture on Earth knew about it. Cavemen were not cavemen; they were survivors from previous resets. You know what? I think there could be some merit to that.
I can see that.
Definitely, I can see that 100%. Go the hunting methods, the logic in making a weapon, a projectile with a bow and arrow. This is knowledge inherited. You know what? Very true. Because Yeah, like, and if you look at all the different cultures across history, a lot of culture, and we're talking cultures that back then didn't have a way to communicate with each other. A lot of them came up with a lot of the same ideas, a lot of the same inventions, and a lot of the same religious beliefs.
And
So,
I know they try to make up a theory that the reason behind that all is because, all the continents used to be together and it was one giant landmass and they could travel across really easily, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to discredit anything this day and age. Part of that could be true. However, my question is, how did they realize, oh, by burning coal at a high pressure, we turn it into diamonds?
yeah.
Or a gemstone, or like gold or things like that, it takes more than just one process to reach where we're at now.
Right. And 100%.
It's just weird, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, from my understanding, though, is from what I've heard from my channeled sources and everything, is that the Earth is a seeded planet. It was actually created, and that's where you get some of the remnant stories of it in the Bible about the whole what was it, 7-day Adventist, creationist type thing. It was really ETs and dimensionals that actually seeded the Earth at one point. And created like the mass continent, moved things around after a while, and that's where you get some of the remnant equipment from that they used for that. And some of the disclosure is pointing to like the big basalt pillars are actually more old terraforming equipment that just looks like stone. Things like Stonehenge and stuff like that; those are actually pieces of equipment, and that no longer have the power source to them. That they're just so ancient they stopped working. So it from millions of years.
So I do want to have a discussion, a whole episode on giants and all of that. However, so another theory that has just kind of come out of the woodwork, so to speak, has been the fact that some of these mountains and things that we have in the world are actually petrified giants, and that Himalayan sea salt, I guess it is sea salt, is actually just their muscle that has turned into salt.
I've heard that
What are your guys' thoughts on
I've
that?
heard that theory, and that makes sense. I know I've been seeing that theory is coming out a lot too. I really don't see any, if you mention that just every normal everyday person, yeah, there's a possibility we could have had giants and they might look at you crazy, but on a biological scientific scale, why couldn't we have had giants in the past at one point? It's biologically possible.
Well, I mean, we all experience pareidolia. That's the correct term, right? Where our brain just makes things up, like sees a shape and forms it into something that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we all have that ability with our brains. Our brains do that regardless if we want it to or not. However, it does seem really weird to me, majority of these mountainsides where people even in the past said, oh, this is the old man of the mountain, or this is the goddess of the hillside, or whatever the case may be. And you can see, sometimes it's not just a face, sometimes it's the shape of a body, sometimes it's a part, and it's not always human. They found I believe it's in the Ecuador and that, in the jungles, they found what appears to look like, just right away by looking at it, it's just a, I don't want to say a mountain ridge, but a ridge of earth. But then when they zoom out, when you zoom out either using a camera, or you're flying over it, then you can see it. It's actually a serpent, and if you were to get up close to it, it looks like it was made out of scales. That to me is just a little too uncanny. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
used to really believe in coincidences, but honestly, the older I get, the more I'm like, there is no such thing. It's, I
100%.
mean, that's why,
I'm with you on that. The older I've
yeah,
gotten, the less I believe in coincidences.
nothing surprises me anymore, to be honest. I'm not going to discredit anyone's views or thoughts about anything anymore because
Right.
who's to
Yep.
say it's not real?
It's just like the story of, say, Atlas, for instance, the giant that held up the world, or the Titan, I should say, that held up the world.
Mhm.
Well, where the stories came out was also not only Greek mythology, but also, again, Atlantis. Atlas was supposed to be, or Atlan was supposed to be the first leader of Atlantis. And what happened was, before Poseidon, and what took place was, they always said, like, he held up the sky. They always show him holding up the planet. Well, there's a mountain range right off the Eye of Sahara in Africa, where you could clearly tell there had been a structure there. There's salt all over the place there, and you could clearly tell there was some kind of like battle damage. And the mythology says that basically Zeus destroyed Atlantis, and that's the fight between Enki and Enlil in your Sumerian mythology, is Poseidon and Zeus. And it's two brothers beating the crap out of each other. How this is important is because the mountain range is called the Atlas Mountains, and I argue that wasn't just a mountain. That's Atlas himself, or what's left of him.
That very well could be. But
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and continue the video. Before we do that, though, I know you guys are talking in chat, and I'll catch up with you guys here in just a minute. By the way, if you guys get a chance to like the stream, would really appreciate it. It would help the algorithm. But let's go ahead and finish off this video. I want to see what else it talks about real quick.
Prosperity fueled by advanced technology and a deep connection to nature are not mere myths, but echoes of a forgotten reality. The enigma of Tartaria challenges us to question everything we thought we knew about the past and to consider the possibility that our true potential as a species has been deliberately obscured. Could CERN's experiments be influencing our timeline, subtly altering our perception of history and reality itself? In Chapter 1, we pondered whether CERN could be shifting time. Some theorists suggest that the powerful collisions generated by the LHC create ripples in the fabric of space-time, potentially causing anomalies that manifest as changes in our historical and architectural records. This idea gains traction when we consider the enigmatic lost civilization of Tartaria discussed in Chapter 2. Could these technological disruptions be responsible for the erasure or alteration of Tartaria's history, making it appear as a mere myth rather than a tangible reality? Furthermore, the transition from the harmonious architectural designs of ancient civilizations to the stark utilitarian structures of the modern era, as explored in Chapter 4, may not be purely a consequence of evolving aesthetic preferences. What if these shifts are influenced by subtle changes in our reality, changes that could be linked to the high-energy experiments conducted by CERN? The idea that modern science could be influencing our timeline may seem far-fetched, but it prompts us to question the nature of reality itself. Are we truly the masters of our destiny, or are there unseen forces at play, subtly guiding the course of human history? As we delve deeper into the mysteries of CERN, we may begin to uncover answers that challenge our very understanding of time and existence. The threads of this narrative weave together a tapestry that connects the past, present, and future. A tapestry that suggests our timeline is not as fixed as we might believe, but rather a dynamic and ever-changing flow influenced by forces beyond our comprehension. Join us as we continue to explore these intriguing possibilities, seeking to unravel the enigma of our timeline and our place within it. Gaze upon the soaring arches of a Gothic cathedral, the intricate geometry of an Islamic mosque, or the harmonious proportions of a Greek temple. These structures, built by civilizations past, seem to resonate with a certain energy, a sense of awe and wonder that transcends mere aesthetics. Ancient builders understood the power of resonance, of aligning structures with the natural frequencies of the earth and cosmos. They incorporated sacred geometry, precise measurements, and materials with specific vibrational properties to create spaces that amplified human consciousness and facilitated spiritual connection. Contrast this with the sterile, box-like structures that dominate our modern landscape. Concrete jungles devoid of any discernible harmony or connection to the natural world. Our modern architecture, for the most part, seems to stifle rather than enhance our well-being. Could this shift in architectural design be more than a matter of aesthetics? Is it possible that the dull, uninspired buildings we inhabit are part of a deliberate attempt to suppress our true potential, to keep us disconnected from the Earth and the cosmos? The Large Hadron Collider stands as a testament to human ingenuity, a marvel of engineering that allows us to peer into the very heart of matter. By smashing subatomic particles together at near light speed, scientists at CERN hope to unlock the secrets of the universe, to understand the fundamental forces that govern our reality. But what if, in our quest to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos, we have inadvertently stumbled upon something far more profound? Some theorists speculate that the LHC, with its immense energy output, could be creating distortions in the fabric of space-time, opening portals to other dimensions or even parallel timelines. Could the strange anomalies reported in and around the LHC, unexplained energy spikes, fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, even anecdotal accounts of time slips, be evidence of these interdimensional breaches? While mainstream science remains skeptical, the possibility, however remote, is intriguing. Perhaps the LHC is not merely a tool for observing the universe, but a bridge between realities, a key to unlocking a realm of infinite possibilities. If so, the implications for humanity are staggering. Imagine a world where the lost technologies of Tartaria are rediscovered, where free energy and advanced healing modalities become commonplace. The LHC, once seen as a tool for unraveling the mysteries of the past, could become the catalyst for a brighter future. A future where humanity's full potential is finally realized. In the future, with advancements in technology, it may become possible to jump between our current timeline and the timeline of the lost civilization of Tartaria. This could allow us to learn from their harmonious and beautiful way of life, and potentially apply those principles to improve our own timeline. Imagine a world where we can fix our current timeline to be more beautiful and harmonious, just like Tartaria. Picture a society where the architectural splendor of ancient Tartaria is revived, where cities are designed with nature and human well-being in mind. Streets lined with lush greenery, buildings that resonate with the natural frequencies of the Earth, and communities that thrive on cooperation and mutual respect. The advancements in technology, such as the Large Hadron Collider, could serve as the bridge that connects us to this forgotten golden age. By unlocking the secrets of Tartaria, we could usher in a new era of innovation, where free energy and advanced healing modalities become commonplace. The implications are profound. A world where scarcity is replaced by abundance, where conflict gives way to peace, and where the full potential of humanity is finally realized. This vision is not just a dream, but a possibility that lies within our grasp. As we stand on the brink of this new frontier, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to reclaim our lost heritage? To create a future that honors the wisdom of the past, while embracing the potential of the present? The choice is ours, and the journey begins now.
All right, real quick, before I comment on the video, nobody mentioned in chat while we were watching that, if you ever look at the CERN logo, it's got 666 in it, and I was like, okay, let me look it up, and it sure does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
I never noticed that either until it was pointed out in chat. So thank you for pointing that out in chat.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But also, there's certain events that they said were going to happen this June as well. That it was on 6/6/26 as well. So and I don't buy into some of these dates. I think a lot of them are narrative. But yeah, they're starting to use this 666 in different places other than from the biblical mark of the beast. You're starting to see it pop up different places too.
Now, as far as the video goes, like I liked how they talked about, we could have a good future ahead of us if we, we have the potential to be a great society if we wanted to. However, as we all can see with just how humans are naturally, and given our I don't want to get into politics too much, but given our climate right now, it's going to be a lot harder to achieve as long as there's greed and all that bullshit going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be interesting to think that there's a timeline or an alternate reality out there somewhere where maybe we're not that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. I agree too.
It's I was just gonna say it's wild, it's weird, and yeah, I'd like to believe that, we will get to an age here before hopefully we pass, um, where we aren't as greedy and we do know some of these answers to these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do believe, like, say some of the ET contact you're going to see long before then. But with the thing with Tartaria, the narrator was correct there, from what I've been able to find, that it actually is in a different reality, dimensional space, as he was surmising, and we're just seeing some of the remnants of where they went to, like in some of the old myths where the elves went to Tirnanog, or it's like the Undying Lands in Lord of the Rings, essentially. Sometimes they were kind of referring to spirit, but also dimensional spaces as well. Like even in the movies, you see Frodo and the elves and all them go to the Undying Lands. But I feel it's like that, where you have that other reality where they've maintained these geometric structures, where they've maintained that space. And here we've gone more into some of the more corrupted, separation from spirit and nature type of scenario, like what he was saying. I think it's fairly evident, even some of the things we listen to, the tones we listen to from music to TV, they've integrated these tones that try to decouple us and deground us from the earth and try to sever our connection to spirit, which is absolutely impossible, mind you. But they believe they can do it. And they basically alter your perception so you're not accessing either one. So that feels right to me. And also, you see some of these ancient structures where they have these spirals that echo, or these chambers that echo certain sound frequencies that connect you to both things, as above, so as below. And that is what they wanted to remove from people, so that they were more controllable and more suggestible.
Now, I know me and Laura have talked quite a bit here recently about how off things have felt. And it seems like I know that they've been kind of messing with the particle accelerators a lot more here recently. But I know ever since the beginning of the year, time has just felt really off. Like, for example, and this could just be my perception of how time's been, but like this week for me only lasted 3 days. And I did see an article, I saw an article the other day. They were talking about how kind of start to expect the days to seem to go start becoming shorter. Something to do with I guess the Earth is rotating faster. I don't know if you guys have seen anything on that.
Yeah, I've heard that. I also know that like some of the Earth's energy is really off, and that there is an unknown energy that's kind of making our Earth's energy sort of wonky. And I don't know, just after having this talk about CERN, it kind of makes me wonder if they don't have something to do with that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going. That's kind of where I was going with it. And I'm just wondering if, it's like I said before the show, we like to mess with things that we don't have a full understanding of. Like, they're going to transport this antimatter right now. And I'm just kind of worried what's going to happen when they decide to do that. When did they say have they done it, or are they planning to do it?
Actually, they were this last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, nobody's dead that we know of, so
that we know of.
Yeah, that
we're aware of.
There's always the theory too that we all technically died and just shifted into another timeline. Remember the whole 2012 thing? Everyone thought we were going to die in 2012. There are a lot of people who believe that something happened and now we just somehow...
Or in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that myself, and there's even a TV show on now that kind of mimics that premise, where this government organization looks ahead with like a chronovisor, and they basically see if there's a disaster, and then they find ways of rewinding it back and averting it and jump timelines. I believe the 2012 thing was that, because I believe there was a solar ejection that basically would have irradiated everything here. But what happened was the Mayans had the timing correct on it. And what ended up happening was there was something that blocked it at the last second, and we shifted timelines. I felt the energy was wonky then. Always before some major jump, I'm always feeling this weird wonky energy, like what we're experiencing this week. And it feels like you're at, basically feels like you're going 3 days in a week, like what you were saying, Phantom. And also, it feels, some people say, yeah, the Earth is rotating faster. I'm thinking that it's little mini timeline jumps, because essentially Bashar talks about this too, where you're jumping timelines like 1,000 times a second. Like essentially it could be a bajillion of them where you're wearing a different shirt or something like that. And we talk about the same thing. Well, then you're jumping into whatever your frequency is conducive. I fully agree with that assessment. I've seen evidence of that myself. So I feel, it's not like the whole society is jumping. It's just you're jumping to a version of it that hasn't gone through a particular thing or won't go through a particular thing.
Yeah. Now, Reverend Wolf VIP, he made an interesting point, and he's right on this in chat. He said another thing to remember is technically we're supposed to have a 13th month to yearly cycle, and it was changed to a 12-month cycle, so everything will feel off. And he's right about that.
Yeah, but it was changed because of the church. The church did it on purpose.
Yeah, they did. He made another point here too. It says just multiple high-powered electromagnetic devices that will definitely have an effect on the electromagnetic environment we live in, which is very true. They keep messing with all these things, and of course, it's going to have an effect on our environment.
Yeah, exactly. And also the calendar was altered as well, because December was supposed to be the 10th month, Deca 10. And who added was Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar added July and August, and it bumped December to 12.
Yeah. And nobody said, he said, I'm glad you're bringing up time. It's been really struggling to get everything done on time. Feels like time's speeding up. Absolutely. 100%.
100%.
I always hear the saying, oh, well, the older you get, the faster time goes. Like, first of all, that's a bunch of bullshit. I feel like time really does feel like it's going quicker.
I mean, I do think that there is something to getting older and, knowing exactly how time works, as whereas like a child, like I remember not fully knowing how long a minute was.
True.
True. And now I have a very good concept of what a minute is. However, I've talked to people in their 20s who have said, like, things are flying by for them. Right. So it's not just people that are getting older.
Right. And in my 20s, I never used to say that either. Like in our 20s, time felt normal. At least it did to me. Now, granted, I was also staying up late all the time and partying and drinking, but that's neither here nor there. The fact remains is time did not feel as off back then as it does now.
I do think it is interesting that a lot of people in the last 20 years have really, I don't want to say shied away from the whole party thing and going out late at night and that, but they really, I mean, it's not as big of a thing. It's kind of beginning to ramp back up. Did you guys hear that smoking is now cool again? Like, what? We all know what happens with that, right?
Yeah, no, I will definitely not be going back to that.
No, what I find fascinating is, and I see dreams as windows of information as well, and windows to the multiverse, like you heard in Marvel. But what ended up taking place was everybody's that's been in the New Age stuff has heard of the whole harmonic convergence concept from the 90s. And what ended up happening was I had this dream where I was in 1981, and I was sitting in a movie theater, and then everything felt normal, everything felt fine. And then I jumped ahead in time to like somewhere around 1995 or 6 or something, and it felt slightly wonky. And then I jumped to current, and it was incredibly wonky. I mean, it felt horrible in comparison. And somebody was showing me that the progression of years, you're seeing some really wonkiness with the timelines, and it felt absolutely horrible by the time you got to current time. And it was in 2022 or 23 when I experienced that. And going from the early 80s all the way to now, you could just feel it was absolutely 180 degrees from each other. And many people surmise that the 80s were like a golden age because of that time frame. People always refer back to the 80s all the time. From no matter who I talk to, they refer back to the 80s constantly as being like this golden age. And they don't always know why. And I feel it has something to do with this exact concept, or at least, with the timeline shifting in general, or the energy shifting in general. And I feel the harmonic convergence was that shifting into this extremely wonky like schism of timelines, essentially. And that was in the 90s.
Yeah, I do hear about the 80s a lot. A lot of people wish we could go back days, but I also hear a lot about the 60s too.
Yeah, so I've heard the 60s a few times, but not as much as the 80s. I've heard a lot of that from clients going, yeah, things were so much easier for them at that time. And some people say that was the best years of their life. And it's like some people feel like reality changed after the end of the 80s. They feel like something was off in the 90s. And I heard from the New Age community back then, the metaphysical community, they basically surmised they thought there was a bunch of dimensional invasions around that time. And that actually makes sense according to what we're talking about, too.
See, I kind of feel like anything from around 2010 until current, things have progressively just gotten weirder.
Yeah.
Which is also has become or been the norm. And yeah, I don't know.
The weirder has become the norm, and sometimes not in a good way. Weird is usually good, but in some cases it just feels really off. My intuition just tells me it is just off, and you can just tell by looking around. Even if you're the most staunch skeptic, something's got to feel screwed up just looking around, or something's got to seem off.
As far as the other video goes, we don't have to show that today.
Okay.
I'll just leave a link maybe in the description of the video. I might go ahead and end it here just because I know the signal's been kind of dropping in and out all stream. And so I might reboot my internet. So hopefully on the next episode, when we do the next live stream, we won't have this constant jump in and out. But thank all of you in chat for coming. We will definitely be back next Sunday, right? Our new time slot is now Sundays. 4:30. So
and we actually already currently have a topic, so we will be hopefully talking about haunted jobs.
Me and Laura talking about. We're going to talk about at some of the places you work, Chris. Do you have any experience with like places you've worked where they've been haunted or some activity has happened there?
Oh yeah, I did mostly retail and food service, but I worked at the original Valentino's building over the original first location. That building was haunted as hell. Being over there, and you could hear like a completely empty building. I was there past 11:30 at night before. Underneath, lights out underneath, except for the light coming from the bathroom and the party room underneath. And
I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and save that for the next stream.
Okay.
Real quick, Reverend Wolf BIP says, "You guys are awesome. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm sorry I talked too much. Hey, it's all good. We're glad to have you."
No.
Honestly, thank you guys for coming, because I would say this is probably the first show we've had since we started doing this where we've actually had a pretty active chat. So thank you guys very much for coming to the stream. We appreciate you. So,
more questions the better, and if you guys have any ideas of topics that you want to hear us talk about, so that you guys can interact, or hey, maybe we could have one of you guys on the show.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, absolutely, I'd be down for that. So yeah, no, we appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Sorry if the stream has been going in and out. Like I said, something's going on with our internet around here, so hopefully next week we won't have that issue. But yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to mention after we get off stream, you can put it in the chat on the VOD when it's there. And we'll see you all next Sunday.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. You all have